Chef's Corner. I'm Chef Tony Johnson, and today we're going to make wild mushroom risotto with seared rack of lamb. First, our ingredients will be some fresh herbs, some wild mushrooms, goat cheese, arborio rice, olive oil, white wine, butter, salt and pepper, garlic, a sweet onion, and of course, the rack of lamb. We're going to start off with our risotto. We're going to grab some garlic, some sweet onion, and we're going to brunoise. But before, I'm going to do about 2 cloves of garlic. But before we do this, I want to show the difference between the rices. This is an arborio rice. It's a lot more fluffy, has a lot more starch in there. And the whole purpose of risotto, to make it that nice creamy consistency of risotto, is to get those starches out slowly by slowly whisking in your stock and bring it down. And again, this would be a parboiled rice. This would be what we would use for a rice pilaf or dirty rice or anything like that. And you can tell the difference of the two grains. One is a nice white fluffy, and this is kind of really condensed, not as much starch as in here. And again, once we cook it, we whisk it down, you'll see those starches come out and make a nice creamy consistency. But we're going to save this parboiled rice for later when we do another segment with that. This arborio rice we'll put over here for when we start cooking. First thing we're going to do is take our sweet onion and we're going to make a brunoise. Again, small dice, 1/8 by 1/8. We're going to go across. And we're just going to go straight down like a little chart. You want nice fine dice for this. We're going to sweat the onions and the garlic. We're not going to look for any color. We're just going to sweat it to kind of get some of those juices out, some of that sweetness, natural sweetness out of it. You can see that this is a nice fine brunoise. Should be enough onion for us. Then with the garlic, I'm going to just smash it. And then we're going to rough chop it. And we're going to add a little bit of salt to help with a little bit of abrasiveness to kind of help make a little paste. And we're just going to make a nice quick paste with this. And that'll be our mise en place for the risotto. I have a dish here. I already have my pan preheating to medium-high heat. Or actually it's about a medium. We're not looking to get, again, any color or anything. And then we're going to put this to the side. And we're going to cut our mushrooms. I've done a nice wild mushroom blend where I have some ceps, white beech mushrooms, and a hen of the woods mushroom. We're going to chop these up. I don't want to chop them up too fine. I want them to still have their characteristics of what they are. So we're just going to briefly cut them up and saute them with the risotto. Alright, the first mushroom will be the cep. We're going to just cut off the stem here. Put that there. And like I said, I want to keep them as intact as I possibly can. So I'm just going to give them a couple cuts on the bias. Pretty large. Really showcase these mushrooms off. And then with the white beech mushrooms, I'm just going to cut off this little stem and probably just give it one quick cut. So, especially you can see the long stem and the head of the mushroom. And for the hen of the woods, we'll do the same. Just cut off the stem and kind of just cut it in half. It's going to be a nice little mushroom blend. You can use any type of mushrooms. You can use portobellos, you can use regular button mushrooms. Chanterelles if you really want to go something different with it. Morel mushrooms. All these mushrooms have a little bit different flavor, but they have a nice meaty flavor to them. So great for this risotto. I'm going to take this over to the stove and we're going to do some cooking. Alright, and my pan's already been heating on about a medium heat. First I'm going to put in my onions and garlic. You can definitely hear that we're cooking. Just give a quick little whisk. Now there's a lot of water in the onion, so it's going to help prevent the garlic from burning or getting too much color. And then when we add the mushrooms are probably about 90% water. So again, it's going to help make sure that these don't get too much color. I'm not looking for the nutty flavor that garlic gets when it gets brown. I'm just looking for that, a little bit of that bitterness to be cooked out. Alright, just give this a nice little whisk. Cook these mushrooms down a little bit. Might have to add a little bit more olive oil. These mushrooms will sit there and soak the oil up. So you might have to add a little bit more to it. This is one of my favorite dishes that I make, the risotto. I think it just embodies on how much love goes into cooking because it takes so much time. Like I said earlier with the arborio rice, we slowly whisk it and slowly add our stock. And it's just a procedure of love, just making sure that it all comes together nice and quickly. You try to cook it too quick and it could just get mushy. If you don't cook it fast enough, then it just stays hard and bitter.